Remember how shocked we were when this happened?
I said somebody should run against John McCain, who has been, in my opinion, not so hot. And I supported him. I supported him for president. I raised $1 million for him. It's a lot of money. I supported him. He lost. He let us down. But, he lost. So I never liked him as much after that because I don't like losers. But Frank, let me get to it. He hit me. Hero. He's not a war hero. He's a war hero. He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
Remember how mortified we were when we saw this.
Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Maybe that's what I said.
And remember how we gasped at this moment.
So I have, she gets out and she starts asking me all sorts of ridiculous questions. And, you could see there was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever.
The cruelty is the point. It's a cliche, but that phrase is actually true when it comes to Trump. He ushered the cruelty in even before he got anywhere near the White House. Remember, show me your birth certificate, Mr. First Black President. But don't get me started on the racism, at least not yet. I'm going to get to that in a moment. Let's be honest here, though. Cruelty has long been a feature of both political parties. It has, however, become the unifying factor, the propellant that fuels Trump's GOP. But the cruelty has more than rubbed off on the entire party. Remember, Mexican immigrants, according to him, are rapists and criminals.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Muslims should be banned from the country.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
Trans people should be kicked out of the military. African nations, shithole countries. He deliberately put 3 ultra-conservatives on the Supreme Court who ended up helping to overturn Roe v. Wade. The cruelty was the point with that one. The thing is, though, I don't know if that mantra still is accurate today in 2024. It doesn't go far enough to capture what Trump and MAGA have done to the Republican Party and the conservative movement.
Bring shame back. Bring back saying you are disgusting, you are wrong, you are a hoe, you are a pervert. Call things for what they are.
Under President Trump, there were only 2 genders. Remember that? Male and female. And we didn't have men trying to beat women in women's sports.
We have a moral obligation to admit the world's poor, they tell us, even if it makes our own country poorer and dirtier and more divided.
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans?
Now that I think about it, I don't think the cruelty is the point anymore. This is where we get to the racism part that I promised you. I think bigotry is the point. The white supremacy is the point. The racism, the homophobia, the transphobia, the anti-Semitism, the misogyny. That's the point. GOP bigwigs, Fox News talking heads, conservative influencers, all of them are so much more nakedly, gleefully bigoted than they were just a few years ago. Now they just say the quiet parts out loud. Trump finally gave them permission, and they love it. Because back in the day, they used to at least get in trouble for things like President Nixon's comments about Jews, or Reagan's welfare queen debacle, or George H.W. Bush's naked racism with the Willie Horton ad that demonized black people.
I look at you about close by. So there's this strange malignancy now that seems to creep among them. I don't know, radicalism. The Jews are born spies. You know, somebody are just in it, up to their necks.
In Chicago, they found a woman who holds the record. She used 80 names, 30 addresses, 15 telephone numbers to collect food stamps, Social Security, veterans benefits for 4 non-existent deceased veterans' husbands, as well as welfare. Her tax-free cash income alone has been running $150,000 a year.
Dukakis not only opposes the death penalty, he allowed first-degree murderers to have weekend passes from prison. One was Willie Horton, who murdered a boy in a robbery, stabbing him 19 times. Despite a life sentence, Horton received 10 weekend passes from prison. Horton fled, kidnapped a young couple, stabbing the man and repeatedly raping his girlfriend.
So yes, the GOP has always been full of bigots. At least then they tried to hide it in coded language and dog whistles. Slurs were reserved for behind closed doors. Nowadays, it's just all out in the open. And when I say out in the open, I mean out in the open.
Evil.
Just the other day in Detroit at a Trump rally coordinated by Turning Point USA, the rally organizer unfurled a white boy summer flag. Now you might think that that's a joke. You might think perhaps it's a reference to Megan Thee Stallion's hot girl summer meme. It's not. It's a phrase used by white nationalists, by neo-Nazis, and it was just proudly displayed at a Donald Trump rally. And if you think perhaps that rally organizer, Charlie Kirk, may have just not known the implications of the flag, well, listen to him in his own words, speaking about black people who dare to fly airplanes. Watch.
And that's why I think this United story and the DEI story hits so hard, because we've all been in the back of a plane when the turbulence hits, or when you're flying through a storm and you're like, I'm so glad I saw the guy with the right stuff and the square jaw get into the cockpit before we took off. And I feel better now thinking about that.
No, I mean, like, you want to go thought crime? Like, I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Well, that's the you wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have. You wouldn't have done that before.
That's not an immediate.
No, you wouldn't have done that before.
That's not who I am. That's not what I believe.
It is the reality the left has created.
This is where we are in 2024. A top Trump ally, a rally organizer for the former president, someone who could very well end up in Trump's second administration, openly saying black people shouldn't be pilots and displaying white nationalist flags in public. And why is he doing it? Because he can. Because the Republican base wants it. The Republican base actually demands it. Trump has gotten them addicted to rage and grievance and hatred. And Republican elites are more than happy to serve it up to them. Not with a dog whistle, but with a foghorn. Not with innuendo, but with outright slurs. And they do it shamelessly. They do it so gleefully. The cruelty was just an appetizer, a warm-up act. The bigotry is the point.